Okay, so this is the UJK Parf protractor. In the box it comes with the protractor, a anodized aluminium, very accurately drilled protractor, which will give you every half degree between 0 and 90 degrees. So 0 to 45 on one side and 45 to 90. I'll show you in a minute how that's going to be used. There are two revision dogs which enable us to emulate the original 3mm holes that you may have drilled with your Parf jig, and there are two special connector pieces which enable us to connect the Parf protractor onto our Parf rules. So I've some holes already drilled in this setup, which would be a typical workstation, which I've used along the bottom. So I will be using the revision dogs. These are very simple 20mm dogs that fit into the chamfered rebates that they cut. And you can see they leave me them with a 3mm very central hole, exactly as they would be used in the initial set out there. The way that this works, this is my vertical, this is my horizontal in this instance. The vertical could be there, the horizontal could be at the top, but in this case I'm going to go with, being very right-handed, the horizontal at the bottom and my vertical to the top. So I've pre-cut some 20mm holes. So to use the protractor, we need to connect the protractor to the 10th hole of the Parf jig. Now each hole is exactly 96mm apart, so the geometry of this is worked out on the 96mm spacing. So these spaces which I've now put up are 960mm from centre to centre. I'm going to anchor the first Parf rule with two of the Parf pins which come in the original kit there. Now, if I was wanting to cut a 20-degree angle, I would put these pins on the 10th hole and just position my Parf protractor on the actual angle that I want to go. So in this case, it's a 20mm hole. Make sure that they fit into the recess nicely, and then just tighten up. Here I then have exactly 20 degrees coming from this horizontal there. So if my cutting station, if I was going to be cutting later on, and I was using my two dogs which I've cut at 90 degrees to this bottom run of dogs, I'd be cutting across here with my saw, obviously with the blades out, but I'd have dogs in here, so my work then continues across, and this angle here would of course be 20 degrees from the 90 degrees, so that would actually be 70 degrees as an included angle there. So you need to think about exactly how the angles are going to be cut, how you're going to use them. And one of the questions which I was asked, when would this setup or angular setup be required? Well, there are way too many situations or angles which may be required for me to suggest how they're going to be used, but it can be used in lots of different ways. So here I've shown you how to do the 20. If we wanted to do a 70, we'd just we'd go to the upright in this position here, and we'd work back. And if I turn this over, you'll see that the rule goes from 45 to 90 there. So if that was set at 90, I could come over and link my rule through this 45. One of the problems which we have by setting up like this with these pins in the revision dogs is that I can only go to an angle of about 7 degrees before actually the pins get in the way. So in that case, what we'll do is to run a 45 up. So here we have a 45, and I've cut these holes a little bit earlier to be able to pin this ruler to 45. Pop the pins actually into the hole, anchoring down the rule. And if we want to come up by 3 degrees, I'll attach this, that would be at 45, so I've attached that on at 45, connecting the ruler up. And then if we want to come up by just a few degrees. So maybe if I wanted to come up by 3 degrees, I would use this scale here on the 10th hole again, and we would come up, and there we go. I could cut a series of holes which I know would be 3 degrees away from the horizontal, that's this angle here, or if I take 3 degrees from 90, I've got 87 degrees as an included angle. So really you can cut any angle you want with this setup. Simplicity of the Parf protractor works. Are these spacings exactly equal? No, they're not. They are worked out by utilizing all the trigonometry we know about triangles, and it's divided into two right-angled triangles, and of course these lengths are a function of this angle here. So that's probably more than I need to say about how these holes work out, but they have proven to be exceptionally accurate. This is like a protractor with a huge scale going up the side, so the degree of accuracy is very typically Parf, highly accurate. I hope that covers it all.